Hey folks, welcome to a special video here on the Golden Bolt. You may be wondering why it's special or why you're seeing my pretty mug on camera, since I don't tend to do a lot of on-camera stuff here on the main channel. So it doesn't really fit a lot of what I do. And it's a special day, a special video, because A, I'm feeling a little bit nostalgic of my old Ratchet & Clank videos that I made back in 2016, 7 years ago. And I figured it'd be fun to go back, look at those from my first season of the Golden Bolt, cringe at them a little bit, and share some behind-the-scenes details on those videos and how they informed my retrospective saga a little bit down the road. It's also a special video and a special day because I have deadlines, and one of them is today, so more on that in just a bit. And last but not least, it's a special day because I got a burrito. It's not a very good burrito. While I was setting up my OBS and camera, kind of got cold, and now the edges are all hard. Kind of don't want it anymore, but just like with this old video series that I'm going to watch through, I'm going to suffer through it for you. So longtime fans may remember that back in 2016, I actually made 4 videos on Ratchet & Clank back in Season 1 of the Golden Bolt, as it were. I covered Ratchet & Clank 1 around April 2016. It was my 3rd video I had ever made on the channel. I covered Ratchet PS4 right after that, a little after the game had come out, I believe. That video may have come out on the day that the movie came out, actually. I did a sort of podcast talking about the movie after a couple buddies of mine and I had seen it in theaters. I'm not going to show that podcast because it's just a podcast, although if you do want a good podcast to listen to in the future, check out my new podcast channel, Crub, coming pretty soon. We have a couple videos on the channel already. I'll put a link in the description and up in the iCard to the top right of your screen. Anyway, I also did a video on Ratchet & Clank Going Commando that I put out in, I want to say, September 2016. And I haven't watched that one since I made the Going Commando video for the retrospective saga in 2021. So I don't remember anything about it, and I'm sure that the only things that I would remember are things that I then still put in with new voiceover and stuff and made better in the 2021 video. So I'm curious how that one will turn out, but I know for the first 2 there will be a lot of cringe, so it'll be a good time. So yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about this video as we go through it, some other stuff that maybe I didn't talk about in the retrospective, and other things Ratchet, because you guys want more Ratchet, and I really don't want to do the PSP games yet, so here we are. That's loud. I don't think I audio mixed well at this point, apparently, but that's fun. Yeah, so Majora's Mask intro. I had a really dumb intro at this point in time, that it was supposed to be like a very early prototype of what would have been like this sort of thing going across a globe, like a mapped across a globe. I was very optimistic that I could make that look good. This is my 3rd video. I was editing on a Dell laptop in Sony Vegas like 12. Everything took like 2 minutes to do. It sucked. I hated it. I don't recommend it. And it's going to get worse because I remember what happens next as part of this theme and this intro here. I didn't know, I didn't realize until like 4 videos in that the bolt was not proportioned right in Vegas. So it looks like shit for a while, and that's pretty fun. Look, all I'm saying is, for all of you out there that are maybe considering getting into a world of YouTube or getting into the idea of making video content of any sort, my first tip for you, and this is a very important tip, you can see it right here, is start with a camera angle that is aimed upward towards you, a what she sees camera angle. Big recommend that. It's very flattering. Jesus Christ. This was on a webcam, I'm pretty sure. This was on a Logitech C920 webcam, plugged into my computer, my laptop once again, with my Blue Yeti somewhere near here, because I was recording this on a Blue Yeti still at this point. Because like everyone on YouTube, that's what you did at this point in time. But I think my Yeti's behind me, which is why it sounds like garbage. Also, I hate doing on-cams nowadays. I'm much better at them now, but oh boy, this was like several takes. It sucked. I hated it. No bueno. No bueno. Episode of the Golden Bolt. As always, my name's Kevin. Now, let me first open by saying sorry if I sound a little nasally. Good idea. Always apologize for sounding nasally in your videos. So hopefully I sound okay in this video. I feel pretty good, so I figured the show must go on. So last time you Hard cut. Hard cut. You can even see here in this video, not a hard cut. A fade. I'm fading right now. Jesus Christ. This is bad. A lot of the stuff here is sort of similar to the history stuff that I talked about in the modern Ratchet and Clank PS2 video. I think some of it's even taken wholesale script-wise, and I just reworded it to make it a little bit better. You may have noticed while I was talking earlier that I had a little history section. If I can go back and find it. I can't. No, I can't find it. Whatever. You'll see it in a second. I did categories for my videos back then. So I had a history section, a story, gameplay presentation, really original, I know. And then I also had a cohesion category, which I stopped after 2 videos, so it's not even in this video, and skill points, because Ratchet and Clank themed concept for a channel, so I had to do something else to hammer that home, I guess. And I'll talk a little more. There we go. So the story. I would break things up in a story gameplay presentation because not just because that was what everyone did at this point in time on YouTube, but mainly actually because I wanted to limit my script writing, because I've always been a pretty loquacious person. So I knew that if I gave myself free rein to like weave narratives from day one and weave the story into the gameplay, into the presentation, and tell my own story through the videos like I kind of do now, that I would never get pretty far anywhere, because I was still a very much a perfectionist at that point in time. So I don't gotta hide. Great. I made a spoiler warning and then didn't re-record it to say that there's no spoiler warning there. There's not too much in the story that I'm going to talk about for this part of the video, because you guys know how I feel about the story, and I'll probably just skip through a lot of this, unless there's something of note to say. But in the meantime, back at this point in time, I made my videos on those category systems to limit my writing, because I knew that I would never edit things together and finish them and put them out if I did them in this super long format that I'm kind of doing now. So I spent a couple of years trying to find my footing voiceover-wise and delivery-wise and what I wanted my style to be before I went back to what I knew I wanted to do from day one, which was what I kind of do now. So I guess that's a lesson for anyone to, take different steps than you may feel like you have to do to get to where you want to do. It's okay to learn another skill set on the way to whatever it is your goal is. In fact, it probably makes you more rounded as a person, or as an employee, or as a writer, or whatever it might be.
Who designs a robot to be fat?
I still stand by that. Why are there fat robots?
Now, I repeat, the spoilers begin here.
Don't you love back in the day when there were annotations on YouTube, so when I said click here, you could click there, and it would skip you ahead in the video? I will say one thing about this old video is it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be voiceover-wise. One of the things I started with was a slight lisp. You can still sometimes hear it on certain words, because everyone has a little bit of a lisp at some point, no matter what they're doing. But why am I not do this? Because I'm talking to you. Hi, hello. So at this point in time, I had a slight lisp, and my voiceover was still very clearly getting there. I didn't sound interested in what I was saying. That's one of those things where if you're trying to become a creator for whatever reason, it just comes with time. One of the pro tips that I really live by is to it's a lesson I learned from where else than pro wrestling, where if you are going to do something in wrestling, or in I guess in YouTube sort of as well, in the influencer sphere, your character, as it were, is you turned up to 11. So that's what I did. Probably around this point, I started doing that because I was so embarrassed by reading into a microphone. You don't want to embarrass yourself doing stupid voice lines or screaming or making a dumb joke that doesn't really land because it's your first couple videos. And I made the character of the Golden Bolt, which is just me, cranked up to 11. No, that's really no longer the case. I'm just kind of me nowadays, because there's no reason to play the character, because the character kind of became me over time. I feel like I became a marginally more interesting person over the years that I've done this YouTube thing. Just because I know how to talk more interestingly now. I can tell based on some of the S lispy noises and the pauses here and there that back in the day and still sometimes today, I had that thing where your brain wants to form the words faster than your mouth can, so you end up stammering and having a slight almost a stutter but not really a stutter. And that was a problem that I had for a while, again, until doing this voiceover thing taught me to enunciate more and slow down and let my points breathe a little bit rather than rushing to get everything in before someone tries to cut me off. Because now if you try and cut me off, I just keep going.
Ratchet being a jerk just for the sake of being a jerk really brings down the experience, though, and for that alone, I have to give the story of the game a silver bolt.
That was loud. Yeah, so at this point in time, I actually had review scores for each individual category. If you go back to my first video, the first like 4 minutes of my original Sly 1 review is me explaining my review system, because that's what you should do in your first video, rather than as a separate video. So I stopped doing the scoring, I want to say 2018, maybe mid-2019. It was with the LA Noire video I did with my buddy Mini-Me. The reason that I did this was... mainly, I thought it'd be cooler than doing a review score overall at the end of the video, because I never liked those, and I thought that if I gave good reasoning and scored each category separately, it would lead to a more complete perspective or recommendation of a game to the viewer and cause some solid discussion to happen. Not usually, because no matter what, no matter if there's a scoring system where you score in categories or in bunches, or with a unique system where it's not 1 through 10, it's malleable bronze, silver, gold bolt score, or golden bolt score, I should say. Because one of the things I did actually was I also would review each game with the context of what kind of game it was. So if I was reviewing shovelware, I would look at it from the perspective of how is it for shovelware. And a lot of people didn't quite get that because they'd only watch, one video at this point, because I had 50 subscribers or whatever. So they would see a video where I gave a Shrek game or whatever, a silver bolt, and say, well, how did you give that a better score than this game that's like a really AAA big budget title? Why did that have a better story score? That's not true. And it's because for a AAA story, one game was bronze. For a shovelware story, this game was marginally better, or it was funny, or I judged it on the standard by which you would judge shovelware. But I realized that between that and people mainly looking for the score and only talking about the score itself, rather than giving reasons for why they did like or disliked something, it just led to things getting boiled down to people being like, well, I don't agree with your score. And then I would ask why, because the point of these videos is always to start a discussion. I'm not trying to just talk at you, like I guess I am now. Well, whatever. Point being that... It didn't work out too well to do the scoring system, so I eventually cut it because I didn't like how it came across to the viewer. And one other thing I will say, it's a thing I often get flack for in the more recent Ratchet 1 video that I did back in 2021, is that I'm not a fan of Ratchet's character in this first game. And usually the response that I get is either comparing it to the PS4 game, which is not what I'm doing in the PS2 original. When I say that I don't care for his character, I'm saying it on the merits of his character in that game. But people like to say that it's better than the worse version of his character in the PS4 game. And it's like, yeah, you're right. Do you want a cookie? Of course he's better than the PS4 game's character because he has a character. That doesn't mean that it's a good character. It's one of those things where I think I didn't explain it as well as I should have, probably, my full stance on the character of Ratchet in the first game, because I've realized over time that, another wrestling reference here, if you're a fan of wrestling, Ratchet is CM Punk. He's a character who, when he is slighted, he will hold every single slight against him immediately and take it out on everything and everybody around him. It's just a shotgun blast of trauma and anger going out at everybody. And it does make sense when you're an orphan raised alone on a planet and you've never had friends and you don't understand that you can trust people. That's not the story that they were telling, though. That's the story we've given it ourselves as fans over the course of, the 20 years since the first game came out. And that's fine if you want to, write that sort of story in your mind. But when I'm judging a story, I'm judging it on the merits of the story itself. And one of my biggest problems is, that Ratchet doesn't really develop until after the game, between Ratchets 1 and 2. And that sort of doesn't give us the earned full turnaround of his character that I would have liked to see in the first game, because they were rushing at Insomniac to fix Ratchet, because here's a fun fact: not a lot of people liked Ratchet at this point in time. Like, I know we've all nostalgized him a little bit, but in the moment, reviewers were critical of Ratchet. A lot of the players that were focus testing were not fans of him being such a jerk. They liked him being a little bit of a jerk, but not so overwhelmingly a jerk, especially to someone like Clank. And so they fixed that in 2 by making it so that he doesn't ever go after Clank with his anger. It's only in defense of Clank. And that's the better way to go, in my opinion. I just, it's disappointing that the way that it turned out was that all happened off screen, that development. So I did skip ahead a little bit through the rest of the gameplay section, and I'm going to jump ahead after this. This is just playing in the background because I thought it'd be cool to have some background noise. Should mute it. One of the things that I wanted to hit on while I'm talking about the gameplay in this video, and then also in this video, was one of the things that also goes back to Ratchet's character that I think would have been cool to see is Planet Ultanus, the one where the lightning rods got taken down, so Clank is not allowed on that planet because he gets hit by lightning, so you're playing Ratchet only. I didn't love that level back in the day, just because Ratchet playing by himself isn't super good. You know, he's not a great character to control at that point. I'm not a huge fan of just playing as solely Ratchet, although I've obviously gotten used to it across 50 whatever playthroughs. I have learned to love Ultanus through the randomizer, though, so I made a video on the randomizer if you want to hear more about that, but that version somehow made me like Ultanus a lot more just by how open it is and how many different items you can get on that planet alone. But one thing I would have liked to see, as far as the ludonarrative aspect of the game, hey, here it is, here's Ultanus, is I would have liked to see this level where Ratchet doesn't have Clank be at a point in the game where he's still mad at Clank rather than coming immediately right after they reconcile. Because the first thing that happens on this planet is Clank gets hit by lightning and Ratchet says, "Oh, come on, buddy, come on, get up." And it just feels so out of nowhere because he goes from being just a jerk to him to kind of flipping and saying, "Okay, you know, I'm not mad at you anymore," to, "Oh, buddy, I hope you're not hurt." And that's kind of, it's kind of out of nowhere. And I think it would have been cooler for that moment to be while he's angry at Clank. So why did I die there? Oh, I know. Because this is the section with the enemies that can shoot further than the draw distance. Great. What was I saying? So anyway, to summarize, I think that one of the things I would have liked to see is for Ultanus to have been one level sooner in the story progression of the game, because then it would have helped us get to the point where Ratchet realizes that he and Clank are a team and that he's better as a team player with his buddy, even if he's upset at him in this moment, rather than doing it right afterwards when it kind of feels like he already realizes he does need him, and so that just hammers home a point that's already been made right before that. One of the other things that I get frequently that comes up around this point in the video when I skimmed through the gameplay section is that I talk about the lack of a strafe feature in Ratchet 1, and I always get the people in the comments of this video and in the more recent video that point out that, yes, there is a strafe feature in Ratchet 1. I know there's a strafe feature in Ratchet 1. I don't consider it a strafe feature in Ratchet 1 because it's such an afterthought that, and it doesn't really achieve what we need a strafe to achieve in a Ratchet and Clank game and its gameplay approach. So, yes, I know it's there. People think I forgot that. No, I didn't. It's just very pedantic to call it a strafe. There's a point somewhere around here, because I'm ending the presentation category right now in the video. After presentation, I added a category called cohesion, which I used for exactly 2 videos before I cut it, because the cohesion category was like one of my big, like, that's how I'm going to separate myself from the crowd type thing. And it was the idea of talking about the different pieces of the story, gameplay, and presentation, and how they worked together and how they enhanced one another. So things like talking about how the level design might help the story in a ludonarrative sense, or how the gameplay might help the visual or the audio presentation in a audio visual way. Ludo audio visual. That's a new term. You can start using that. I coined it just now. Me. Yeah, so I had a category talking about how these things all work together and if they did work together, and rating it in terms of how all the pieces did come together. But I realized while writing the script for this game onward that it didn't really make sense to have a category for things that I already talked about, because that end category would just be me saying the same things again. So I cut that and went on to the section afterwards, which I think just popped up, called skill points, where it was another one of those things that changed several times before I cut it entirely. Originally, it was like anything I didn't have a chance to mention in the video was like an extra, like, here's some other miscellaneous things. And then it eventually, after that, became a thing where I was adding like pluses and minuses, things that I liked and disliked. And those would be the skill points, were the cool things that were part of the, I guess it was almost an overall rating experience kind of thing. It didn't work, so that's gone, thankfully. Again, growing pains, learning, important.
Any platforming fan looking to try the series out should definitely start here. But for anybody who just wants to start the series, I don't know just yet, because Insomniac's making a PS4 reimagining specifically for players who want to play the first game with the rest of the series style. I would say to those people that they should get the PS4 reimagining.
I still kind of say that. So don't give old me flack for that one. I still say that I think the PS4 game is a stronger introduction to the modern Ratchet & Clank gameplay style if you want to go from the beginning. It's just that you ignore the story, which is the biggest failing of the PS4 game, as I've said multiple times, and as I'm pretty sure I say in the PS4 video coming up next. But in my defense, I still stand by that being a good introductory game, considering that more people started with that game than any other game in the series.
It's a soulful remake of the first game, modernizing every...
Not soulful. I hate this camera angle so much. It's only going to get worse, though. Like, I know how the next video starts, and I have fun stories for that one, and it's only going to get worse from here. I didn't have Stay Golden back then. I thought I had Stay Golden the whole time, but maybe it might have been a few episodes in that I had Stay Golden. Oh, no, I know what it was. It was in the Catherine video. Episode, I want to say 9 of the Golden Bolt. I made a video with my buddy Justin covering Catherine, one of Atlas's games. And at the end, he hands me a game that I have not ever disclosed what it was publicly, which was going to be the next video that he and I would potentially do together, which was Persona 4 Golden. And I look at it and say, like, oh no, because of how long the game is. And then he says, Stay Golden. And that was where I started co-opting Stay Golden as my outro tag. So, fun fact, it was Persona 4. I have now played Persona 4. I actually 100%ed Persona 4 on Vita when I got COVID, actually, back at the start of last year, of 2022. And good game. I don't ever plan on covering it in a video because, holy crap, that'd be so much work. This was a pretty good video, yo. Chris, never say yo again. Okay, so I just edited together the Ratchet 1 part of it, and it's actually longer than the Ratchet 1 video was. Oops. Yeah. So I did go through off camera and watch through Ratchet 2, because I was going to do Ratchet 1, then 2, then 2016, even though that's out of order. I didn't have much to add for the Ratchet 2 part. Most of the clip that I had just recorded, I just deleted because it was just me watching the video. What I will say is the reason that I redid Ratchets 1 and 2 and ended up making the retrospective saga the way that I did in 2021, that is, was that I started recording Ratchet 3 around September 2020. And I realized after recording all the footage and starting to take notes that if I wanted to make the video for Ratchet 3 the way that I really wanted to and dig into why I have a conflicting relationship with that game a lot of the time, even if I would, gun to my head, call it my favorite game of all time, that'll change day to day anyway. But I realized that I couldn't say, hey, you should go watch my 5-year-old videos on Ratchets 1 and 2 that look like garbage. So I ended up going back and redoing 1, and then what was supposed to be a saga of videos that would come out weekly leading up to Rift Apart ended up stretching so far out that the final video on Rift Apart came out a year after Rift Apart. That was for the better. I think that, obviously, a lot of people also feel that way based on how those have done and how many people have treasured those videos. And I'm really happy with how they came out. But the short of the Ratchet 2 video from 2016 is a lot of it is stuff that I already said in the Ratchet 2 video in 2021. A lot of that I copied wholesale from the script and just adjusted like with the Ratchet 1 one. But more so. I mentioned like useless podcasts, for example. That's Mike Stout and Tony Garcia. two former developers at Insomniac that had the Let's Play series on Ratchets 2 and 3, talking about the behind the scenes and stuff. And stuff like that. And this was all, you know, before a lot of the Ratchet fan base started becoming more vocal online. This is before, like, this is only a few months after 2016 came out, the PS4 game, rather, came out. And it was kind of interesting in my head watching that video back, because I remember back in 2012 when the HD collection came out for Ratchets 1, 2, and 3, I remember finding useless podcasts and posting the videos on the Insomniac forums at the time, and no one had known that they were a thing, or no one who was around had seen them before, at least. And so that was cool, stepping onto a gold mine, and then remembering that I had seen that stuff in 2016, to then go back again in 2021 and be like, man, a lot of my work's done for me, even though I then had to watch those Let's Plays over again in 2021 to take a lot better notes. But yeah, no, it was interesting watching that video, because it was September 2016, so it was about 5 months after the one we're about to watch, which is the PS4 one, which will be the final part of this video. It's very interesting watching that video, because I remember this 2016 video is pretty rough. Like, I remember the voiceover's muffled because I wasn't at my house when I recorded it. The intro, you'll see, it's bad. And there's a bunch of other issues with it. And then in 5 short months, like, anything from that point onward, from Ratchet 2 onward, I would probably safely say is watchable, at least. Like, I wouldn't hate myself for watching it. And I say the hate myself for watching it part because one really good piece of advice I got from actually AntDude, friend of the channel, was back in 2016 or so. He was telling me about how, you know, don't ever go back to watch your videos. Anything after 6 months you're going to hate. And I didn't believe him at the time, because I was, I guess, a cocky asshole. And I was like, no, like, I know they're not good, but I'm kind of proud of those early videos, you know, yada, yada. And then I went back and I watched the first few videos, and I could never go back to them because they're so bad. And that goes back to the done is better than perfect mantra that I try to follow a lot. You can't be a perfectionist, because perfect now is going to be trash in 6 months. So focus on getting your reps in. And this isn't just for content creation, but this is for anything. Focus on getting your reps in rather than getting it perfect. You know, if you're learning an instrument, the same is true. I've been learning piano in my spare time, fun fact. And it's a good, like, zen, relaxing thing away from all of my screens and stuff. And I stopped focusing like I used to when I played guitar as a kid, very, very briefly. I focused on getting specific, like, riffs from, like, Sweet Child of Mine, for example. I focused on getting that perfect, and then I never learned how to improve the fundamentals past that, because I had done the one perfect thing, and then I kind of lost interest. As opposed to now with piano, I'm taking my time and letting myself be bad, and learning from the bad. And yeah, so I don't know that there's really a moral to this story, but the Ratchet 2 video, if you're interested, it's interesting to me, at least, going back to see a video that is so far back in my history as a channel, but surprisingly so close to what I would consider the modern Golden Bolt voice and style. Like, obviously it's still an older voiceover. I'm still trying a little hard on the voiceover compared to where I do now, where I just, you know, talk into the microphone like I'm doing now. But yeah, it's interesting. But I watched the whole 25-minute video and just barely said a word. So yeah, not fun content for you guys to watch. Okay, so now we're back with Ratchet & Clank PS4. I just want to highlight that I always open the videos with Uncharted 2, a game that I have not covered on the channel to this day. It was just, I was looking for any footage that I could get for these early intros, and so it was stuff that I thought was like, oh, these are iconic gaming moments that I like a lot, and I never went back to edit out the subtitles when I recorded this, so I never re-recorded it. So every time early era Golden Bolt videos before I had the custom scratch paper blueprint intro opens with parentheses scream. Yep. I'm gonna turn this down before I start. Oh, that looks like shit. Why did that one look like shit so much? Wow. Still, oh, that's a bad pause. So this looks like shit for a reason. This is not my house. I believe I'm saying this right around now in this video. Anyway, I'm at my buddy Nico's house because I had the idea of introducing him as an analog for a player that hadn't played Ratchet PS4 yet, because or rather, I should say, who hadn't played Ratchet and Clank yet in general. So he had never played the series before. He got Ratchet PS4. He enjoyed it a lot, and I thought it'd be valuable to have his opinion alongside my own opinion as a longtime fan. What ended up happening was he was actually busy for a lot of the day that we were supposed to do this, and I was on a time crunch. I don't know why I was on a time crunch, because this was my own. I didn't have sponsor deadlines like I do now or anything. I just could have waited a day or two. But I think this came out the day the movie came out. That might have been why. Anyway, I recorded everything in his basement, so it sounds muffled as hell on the voiceover. He has like 4 lines in the entire video, and as opposed to like we were gonna like co-write the script and give him some input and actually go through and share a newcomer's opinion on this game, because I thought that was important, because that's who I figured most of the players would be. I figured that because I thought the movie would do much better than it did, but the game still did well enough that I was still kind of proven right, considering that more people started with Ratchet PS4 than any other Ratchet game, which I think I already said in this very video earlier on. Anyway.
Hi, I'm Nico. I'm a new gamer.
We quoted "I'm a new gamer" for years. So this was before I introduced Nico to Bloodborne. I don't know why I thought he would like that game, but when it was free on PS Plus years later, the same month as this actual game, Ratchet PS4, fun fact, I said, hey, you should try this game. I think you would like it. I don't know why. He had never played hard games before. We're talking like exclusively Call of Duty, Battlefield, I think Minecraft at that point. Like, he was not playing many games at all. And yeah, so this was a good quote for us to just roast him with. And then now he's beaten every Souls game. So if you set your mind to it, you can do it all, folks. Jesus.
Ratchet, they pass by a room where we see Quark just hanging out. Quark betrayed the Rangers solely because Ratchet and Clank were stealing.
There's so much here that is just I don't remember which parts of it I hit for the 2022 video. I think I said 2021 earlier, but the Ratchet PS4 retrospective was 2022. I don't remember which parts I hit on, because I spent a lot of that video talking more about the behind the scenes than my full-ish thoughts on the game itself, because my thoughts have actually softened a bit over time. Like, I still firmly stand by pretty much everything with one exception that I say in this video. And I tear this game pretty heavily compared to even what people were doing at the time. People tend to forget nowadays that Ratchet PS4 was well received. I'm not just talking sales-wise. I'm talking like review-wise. People were saying it was great. They didn't have too many issues outside of the usual plot things that we all kind of knew were bad. But otherwise, this was considered a really, really good anniversary game by fans and everyone else alike, until about a year later, when the usual cynical cycle of video games tends to happen, as I call it, which is where, with pretty much any game and any fan base, after a year, the people that played a game and liked it, and the people that are more casually into video games, they enjoyed it, they moved on, they've maybe forgotten about it, or they've forgotten exactly what they loved about it. But the people that hate a game, that feel personally upset at the quality of a game, or at how the game has treated them as a fan, or whatever it might be. In the case of Ratchet, it's closer to the latter because of the history of the series. But in other games' cases, it can just be a year later, people are talking about, yeah, this game was actually pretty mid. Like, I loved Outer Worlds, and I remember that kind of went through was it 2019 that came out? Yeah. 2019 that came out. In 2020 it went through that game's pretty mid type backlash, which maybe that one kind of deserved it, because that game's only 2/3 of the game. But either way, I still love that game. And in Ratchet PS4's case, it was very similar, where people who didn't like Ratchet PS4 ended up coming out in droves after the people that did like it, or the people that had played it and don't discuss games online. The 99% of people that play games weren't there to engage in that conversation. And so it's been fascinating to watch the narrative shift around this particular game, so much so that retroactively other Ratchet and Clank games got flack where they didn't prior. And a lot of the criticisms that I hear are the same criticisms that I've had for these games. You can hear them in the videos themselves, especially in this one where I tear the game apart. I don't even give it a score for story. because A, I hadn't seen the movie yet, for one, but B, I still wouldn't give it 1 because it's the one thing that the PS4 game needed to do was improve Ratchet's character and improve the gameplay. 2 things, sorry. And it improved the gameplay at the cost of a bunch of levels, which sucks, but it is what it is when you're on a low budget. And it did not improve Ratchet's character. It did not improve the smooth transition from Ratchet 1 into 2, which was the point of even making this game in the first place outside of being a movie tie-in. And because it failed at that, I was pretty critical of it at the time and even today. But I've softened on it a little bit now that we know more context, because in the years since that usual gaming 1 year later backlash that tends to happen with a lot of video games, we've learned more and more about how it was very much, even Insomniac before the game was out, knew it was going to be kind of an issue. They knew what was bad about it, because with every video game ever, the developers know what is bad before we even see it. There's a relevant example right now. The Last of Us PC is in very dire shape currently, and I'm sure it will be patched over time, and I'm sure it will be fine eventually, but that game was delayed. That game was supposed to come out specifically during the Last of Us TV show hype period. I don't remember the exact date. It was delayed a month. They still released it, and there is no world where they didn't know what they were releasing. They knew these issues were present when they released it. Whether that case is an issue of Naughty Dog being told to release the game in the state that they've released it in, or whether, like in Insomniac's case, they knew the game was going to come out in April 2016, and they had nothing they could do to change what the structure of the game was. When they had an extra year of production added on because the movie was delayed, they couldn't just add more people back to the game because their budget was still the same, and they were working on Spider-Man, and they were working on other games. There's no world where they can go in and just add more people and do a bunch of hardcore coding to make the game better. And it sucks because, I don't know, from a human standpoint, imagine how much that sucks knowing that you can't fix so many issues with something that you've poured your soul into for multiple years. That's got to be frustrating. And so I've softened on that front while maintaining a lot of the same criticisms that I've seen from the more critical or dare I say cynical section of the Ratchet fan base, of the couple thousand people that talk about these games online. So anyway, I'm rambling now. Point is, it's interesting watching how much I dug into this game, because now that I know more about the production, it's I almost feel bad digging into it as much as I did. Almost. I don't, but almost. My review system was so out of whack, even by this point, 4 videos in. Like, the no bolt changed in meaning a couple times. I barely used the platinum bolt because that was supposed to be like this is absolutely perfect thing. It's good that I got rid of this, because man, it got messy, and even though I had good intentions for giving each game a fair shot within the rating system, didn't pan out the way I would have liked. Total sidebar, by the way, this sounds like shit. Like it is just super muffled. I think we literally set up pillows around my Blue Yeti for this recording because it was in a very roomy. Speaking of good mic skills there, I just punched my mic. It was a very roomy basement area, and so there was a lot of reverb, and no bueno. So it just sounds like crap. Holy shit. This is that's one of my favorite bits in the PS4 game, is like there's so many times in this game where like the team remembers things that they can just tweak and make really, really funny or make a really good reference. And I love that specific change where they made the water that was used to cover up the hoverboard track on Calabo 3. They took that and made it an actual mechanic in the game. And I love that so much. It will always be one of my favorite things in this game, is that they just, they took a thing that a lot of players turned into like one of those, not a missing note, but like a Mew under the truck thing, where I remember a lot of players were like wondering, how do you get down there? Like, obviously it's just the hoverboard track, but how do you go and like you can see the little ammo counters or ammo pickups underneath the water in the PS2 game. And you see all of those and you're like, oh, maybe that's a secret gold bolt or something, even though you know it's ammo. And I love, oh, this is another thing. This part in the video I'm mentioning that I was able to level up the buzz blades from level 1 to 4 against one enemy in challenge mode, because the weapon and level scaling was not balanced whatsoever in challenge mode, because that was one of those things that, if my memory is correct from what I was able to gather about the PS4 game's production, a lot of the New Game Plus stuff was the stuff they helped improve and polish in the year that the game was delayed due to the movie being delayed. But it's interesting now, again, thinking about it, because I don't think I mentioned the Buzzblades much in the PS4 game video, the more recent one. But in this one, I mentioned that like you get that later in the game, and it feels underpowered, under leveled compared to other weapons that you have at that point. And it's interesting because Rift Apart does the same thing. Like it took inspiration from that by having multiple of the machine gun type weapons. Why did I do that? And why would I leave that in? Whatever. Multiple machine gun type weapons that you get pretty much when they expect you to hit level 5 with the prior one. And I think it's interesting because I think that's what they were going for here, but the game is so short that it doesn't really work as well in this particular game, because Core 2 is so late game for Ratchet PS4. Well, not super late game, but it's pretty late game. That's another thing that always bothers me. This is unrelated, but I'll bitch about it while I'm here. There are so many people in the comments of the Rift Apart video that say that game is too short. That is the longest Ratchet and Clank game. Like, if you play that game and you go for like the regular amount of collectibles and just do the quests, not even like every gold bolt and everything, it's like 9-ish hours, which is about as long as Tools of Destruction, which is the longest game in the series. I think a lot of people think that Ratchet games are longer than they are because they used to replay them as kids, but now as adults, when we don't replay games as much because we don't have time, they think that a game having the same length of campaign is actually shorter because they stop playing it once they see the credits roll. It's interesting because even like with Rift Apart, I think my fastest playthrough was 4.5 hours, skipping every cutscene, which half of them are baked into the gameplay first and foremost. So that's already cutting out some decent gameplay-ish segments or sections of story rather. And I think it was 4.5 hours. I was rushing through everything and I was using the Rhino the entire time or something. Like I was just going through just to go through. And it's still longer than my medium length Kraken time playthroughs. Like I don't know. I think a lot of people are either somehow playing the game faster than I am, which usually I'm playing the games faster than most people. Like I just play every game faster than most. I'll go for like 100% run and like collect everything in a game, and I'll beat it faster than what people say the average playtime is for normal playthroughs. So I don't know. I don't buy it. That's just me though.
Who took over in 2011, starting with Ratchet & Clank All for One, has finally hit his stride. Before this, he composed primarily these big, swinging, orchestrated performances that, while they sounded good, they weren't good Ratchet sounds. This game, though, oh my god. I honestly think this game might have the best soundtrack in the series.
No, I don't know why I said that. I think my theory for why I would have said that is there is some level of I hadn't really been an objective reviewer too much yet. So getting a new game in my childhood favorite series had me a little bit more giddy on some aspect. I also think I was in a weird phase where I wasn't as fond of the PS2 soundtracks for whatever reason. That has changed, obviously. I love those fucking soundtracks. But I think what happened was there are a couple tracks that I really, really like in Ratchet PS4, and having prior to this played off recording the later era Ratchet games in the orchestral era, so Kraken, Time, All for One, I kind of did a couple levels in. I'd already beaten it before, obviously. Nexus, Full Frontal Assault, all of those had those more orchestral scores. So to hear a combination of that and an electronic score felt really cool. And hearing I think it was Gaspar. I really love Gaspar's theme in this game. It's not like my favorite theme in the series, and I can't even like hum it from memory, obviously, but there was something about like the ambiance of that track, for lack of a better description, that I really enjoyed. And I'm guessing when I wrote that part of the script, I was thinking of that specific track rather than everything else in the game, because I don't remember shit about the rest of the soundtrack. So no, that is the one line in this video that I'm like, why would I have said that? And it's just one of those learning experiences you have when you start to analyze these things more critically, is you're going to say something stupid that you're like, why would I? No, old me is stupid, or young me is stupid. Older, past me is stupid. someone will know better than I would. This is how a game reviewer brain goes for everybody here on YouTube. I promise. You guys will remember better than I will a lot of the stuff, because once you're done with the project, it's on to the next one for us. Did I say in the more recent Ratchet PS4 docu-spective thing this line that I was just saying that you maybe heard a little bit under the audio, where I talk about it as seeing your favorite band perform live, and they play some of your favorite hits, and then they play some new stuff that you don't really like, but they get the gist of it, and they get a lot of what you remember liking, but with some new like tones, some new flavor. Maybe they go on like a drum solo or something. Did I say that in the other Ratchet video? Because I'm not watching through that one today. This video is already too long. Let me know, because I think I did. I think I read that part of the line, or that part of the script, when I went back to do the 2022 Ratchet PS4 video, and I think I literally said, "Hey, good analogy, old me." So that was one where it's give and take. I said that this soundtrack was maybe the best in the series. That's a take. And the give was that I had a really good conclusion for this video, I guess. So, whatever. On the PlayStation 2. You want to join me for that one?
As long as we don't forget to hit the crub.
Crub goes deep. I didn't realize that my fourth video had crub lore. Well, I guess that's a good place to end the PS4 part of the video, because I think that's the end of the video. There might be an end screen blooper reel. But he hit the crub. I guess this was the crub. I don't remember at all that being a thing. But Crub is still the name of our up-and-coming brand new podcast, so I'm going to plug that one more time. Let me know some of your memories of old stupid things you did that you are now remembering and cringing at, now that you've cringed with me and heard some behind-the-scenes stuff about those old Ratchet & Clank videos on this interesting reminiscing experience, this retrospective of a retrospective of a retrospective. So hopefully you enjoyed it. This is not going to be a regular style of content for me. I just kind of felt nostalgic today, and like I said, I had some deadlines to hit, and this felt more fun to do than crunching out a whole video and putting it out tomorrow. This is yesterday when I'm recording this, by the way. So yeah. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully this was fun. We're back to our regularly scheduled content pretty soon. So that's everything, I think. I've plugged everything I need to plug. Goodbye. As always, until next time, stay golden. A special thanks to my wonderful Patreon supporters over at the Golden Cult for helping make videos like this possible. You can get early video access and add your name here for as little as $1 a month over at patreon.com/thegoldenbolt. In particular, a shout out to my Silverbolt and above level supporters, including Goldstorm07, Cloudy Boy, Josh G, Jumprock, Common CJ, Karatana, Malcavio, Mason Hunt, Philly D360, Phyrexian Sleeper Agent, Rodney220, The Critic of Innocence, Thomas Kuzma, Arlen B, Captain Squid, Chef Kilo, Cranky, Damian W, Eclipse 2025, Epo90, Even Luck, Harry Baker, HCSP1, Hotzi, I Pay My Cam Girls So Why Not You, Ibathon, James Boss, JTart9, Justin Gregoire, Maxi89C, The Milkman, Moises, Ninja Master, Patrick Jackson, Rye, Shadow Nexus, Stefan, Terminally Nerdy, Wayne is Boss, WDog999, William Bundy, and Buckles Juggalo. Thank you.